My name is Bruce, I'm with Forest River Sabre, and I'm going to tell you why you should buy a Sabre today. We're going to start right up here on the front. Every single Sabre comes from the factory with what we call the juice pack. So from the manufacturer, we do 50 watts of solar up on the roof. 50 watts. All that's doing is keeping the battery charged. So perks for your customer, when they're in storage, they don't have to worry about their battery being dead whenever they go to pick up their RV. Most of the time when they go to pick up their RV out of storage, the battery's going to be dead. Even if they shut off that disconnect switch, batteries are always going to be dead. So then they've got to plug up their truck to the 7-way, give it a few minutes. What's that?
Is it expandable?
Yes, it is expandable. So part of the juice pack, we do a 30 amp charge controller in the underbelly. The 30 amp charge controller allows your customers to go up to 500 watts of solar without changing anything from the factory, just adding additional panels to the roof. So 500 watts, we've been told from the solar manufacturer, will run the refrigerator and the lights indefinitely. Meaning they don't have to worry about power. As long as they have 2 batteries and 500 watts of solar, they don't have to worry about power while they're off-grid camping. Our refrigerator that we switched to, I'll check and see if this one's got it, but the new refrigerator that we use is a black refrigerator. It's made by Everchill. Okay? That refrigerator is 12 volts. A typical refrigerator in an RV, a residential 110 refrigerator that you find in most high-end luxury fifth wheels, is going to pull on average 20 to 30 amps an hour. Okay, the refrigerator that we use now pulls on average 4 amps an hour. So it's a lot more efficient, doesn't use as much power to keep cool, and that's what allows it to be ran for the longer periods of time off of that solar. So while we're up here, we're going to talk about the Polar Shield sticker. So we run a 4-inch heat duct directly from the furnace into the underbelly, and that's going to keep that underbelly warm in the wintertime. Now I would never tell a customer, I don't care what brand you're selling, I would never tell a customer that it's a 4-season camper. 4-season camper puts you in a liability situation, right? So if you sell, again, I don't care what brand you're selling, you sell a Sabre and you tell your customer it's a 4-season trailer, they take it to North Dakota and it's -5 degrees. -5 degrees, you gotta worry about the lines in your house freezing, let alone the lines in your camper. You have some RV manufacturers that say they're rated certain temperatures. They can't attest to the air going underneath, the wind, the humidity, whenever they test those in a freeze chamber, they put them in a room that's just cold. Absolutely no wind, no natural elements getting to it. So how accurate is that really going to be? We don't test them. I wouldn't say anything as far as a number goes to what it would guarantee it down to. So we're also going to talk about the leveling jacks. You guys sell quite a few RVs here that use hydraulics. With Sabre, we use electric auto leveling. And yes, it is auto leveling. It is one touch. They're going to push a button. This thing's going to level itself. Yes, it's slower, and yes, it's not as strong. That's hydraulics. That's the thing. On the side of this right here, they've got a sticker that says we're stronger and we're faster. And I agree, absolutely, 100%. That hydraulic system will level about 1.5 minutes faster than this electric system will. Wow. I'm impressed, aren't you? Right? That hydraulic leveling system is also rated for 60,000 pounds. Why? Why do you need 60,000 pounds of leveling capability on a trailer that weighs 11,000 pounds?
Mother-in-law.
Wow. That being said, you don't need it, okay? The hydraulic leveling system on average is going to cost your customer on that unit about $6,000 more than the electric leveling system does. So that manufacturer is charging the customer for something the customer thinks they need, but they don't need, and they're just being able to charge that customer extra money for something that they don't really need. Our leveling setup with the electric leveling jacks, every single leveling jack is rated for 6,000 pounds. So you have 6, 12, 18, 24,000 pounds of leveling capability on a trailer that only weighs 11,000 pounds. It's sufficient, don't you? We don't need 60,000 pounds of leveling capability, okay? So we're not charging the customer for something they don't need. The other thing with hydraulics, if we go anywhere, wherever the hydraulic pump is, actually right behind you, there's that yellow sticker on the door. That yellow sticker on the door says, warning, and temperatures below 30 degrees, inconsistent performance may occur. So that's the manufacturer of this trailer telling the customer, yes, you just spent 100 grand on a fifth wheel, but if the temperature's below 30 degrees, the hydraulic system may not work. I don't know about you, but if I spent 100 grand on a fifth wheel and it was too cold for me to be able to use the leveling system correctly, I'd be pretty upset. A, doesn't matter what temperature it is, electric's gonna work. B, it's not as expensive. Last thing I like to talk about is overriding a system. Okay, coming from the service side, you can back me up on this. So the hydraulic setup, if a customer's hydraulic pump ever goes out, they are a duck in the water. They're stuck. Okay, it's going to be a very expensive repair. Odds are they're going to have to bleed hydraulic fluid. It's going to be messy, and you're talking lots of money to get moving to the next campsite if your hydraulic pump ever goes out. On top of that motor, you can feel a rubber dust cap. If the customer takes that rubber dust cap off with a 3/4 inch ratchet, they can raise and lower each jack manually and not have to worry about hydraulic fluids leaking, bleeding everywhere, causing issues, very expensive repairs. So now they can...
Underneath ones are the same way?
Yeah, both of those, and then the ones back there all have that rubber dust cap right on top. I talked about how easy we are to sell, right? Being the easiest fifth wheel on the ground for you to sell. So if you're out here with a customer and your customer says to you, I've got a 38-foot barn with a 14-foot garage door, is this gonna fit? Or your customer says to you, we go off-grid camping a lot, how many gallons is the fresh tank? Right? Those are questions you get asked on a regular basis. Am I wrong? How tall is this? How long is this? What size is the gray tank? Those type of questions. What's the hitch weight? You know, I got a F-250. Will it tow this? You know, my hitch weight is 3,000 pounds. Can this be towed? So if you pull out your cell phone, we leave this QR code right here. So if you scan that QR code, what that takes you to is the Sabre website. We're looking at the 37 FLL, so if you scroll to where you see the 37 FLL, click on the floor plan itself, the first thing it pulls up is all the specifications. So it tells you the hitch weight's 2570, so 3,000 pounds, your customer's good to go. You know, freshwater tank size 49 gallons. You know, it tells you exact lengths, exact heights, everything right there. Right here, this sticker talks about our sidewall construction. We vacuum bond laminate our slide walls. It's a pretty expensive process, but we do feel like it's the best way to construct a camper today in the industry. Vacuum bond lamination, for those of you that are new, don't know what that means, the difference between vacuum bond and pinch roll lamination. Every single RV in the industry pretty much starts the same way. They put this fiberglass skin down on a workbench. You know, put Luan on the inside of that, spray glue everything, put down the interior construction. This one's going to be a welded aluminum. Some of them are wood, some of them are aluminum, depends on what brand you're looking at. Put that down. We cut block foam insulation in between every single opening, in between every single stud, and then we put the interior wallboard on top of that. So in essence, you've got a sandwich of a wallboard sitting on a workbench. It's pretty much how everybody starts. What we do next is we take that wall and we shove it into a giant vacuum chamber. This entire 43-foot wall goes into a vacuum chamber. So there's a bag that comes over top of that workbench, sucks every inch of air out of that, and it literally bonds the wood to the fiberglass. So that Luan on the inside is getting bonded to the exterior fiberglass. So your chances of ever having delamination or bubbles in the sidewall are very slim to none when it's done correctly. Now notice I said when it's done correctly. You do have some manufacturers that have been notorious for leaving their walls in the lamination chamber too long, and that actually like crunches the block foam insulation on the inside, and then you can start seeing the stud outlines, and that's bad. Okay, but it does happen. But we've done this for the last 12 years. We have zero issues with lamination. I haven't seen a single Sabre come back to the plant with delamination. The other manufacturers, some of them will do what's called pinch-rolled lamination. Pinch-rolled lamination starts the exact same way, but instead of running that wall through the vacuum chamber, they actually run it. There's basically, if you imagine, two pizza rollers, metal rolling pins, okay? And they run it through the middle of those two rolling pins. So what they're doing is they're spreading the glue evenly with those rolling pins and squishing everything together. And so then they take that wall from that point and they set it into a climate-controlled, humidity-controlled room, let it sit there for 72 hours to let that glue cure, and then they build an RV out of it. When we do the vacuum bond lamination, as soon as it comes out of that vacuum chamber, we can use this wall to build an RV because that wood and that glue is bonded together. So again, it's a little more of an expensive process, but we feel like it's worth it. Gives it a little bit more dependability and less chances of delamination. We take it a step further at Sabre. We also vacuum bond laminate our slide boxes. This is actually very important for you to talk to your customers about. If you ever have a customer that mentions they're thinking about full-time RVing or they live in their RVs, this is definitely something that you want to talk to your customer about. Vacuum bond lamination on this slide box means underneath of this skin, we've got block foam insulation. So the chances of that insulation ever sagging is zero. Okay, it's solid block foam insulation. You go to some of these other, even your higher end brands, and push on that slide wall, you'll feel that whole wall flex under your hand when you push on it. You'll see it just kind of give way whenever you push on it. What that means is that manufacturer uses hung slide walls. So underneath of that fiberglass skin is going to be batten insulation. Okay, batten insulation in your house is fine. Your house isn't moving down the road. In an RV, every time you move this thing, it's like putting your house through an earthquake. So everything starts shaking, bouncing, moving around. So that insulation is eventually going to start to sag. So from about here down, it's going to be very well insulated. But from here up, there's really not much insulation left in that RV after the first couple of years of that customer traveling with that RV. While we're standing right here, let's talk about safety. All right, at Sabre, we believe getting there is just as important as being there. Okay, we care about your customer's safety. We want them to be safe as they're traveling to their destination. Everybody knows the destination is awesome, but getting there is important. Okay, so we know the number one cause of blowouts in the RV industry is not because of quality of tire. It's because of low tire pressure. That's the number one cause of blowouts in the RV industry. When you get low tire pressure, the sidewall of this RV starts touching the ground where it shouldn't be. Sidewall's not made to touch the ground. It heats up, and that's what causes a blowout. So we want your customers to always have correct tire pressure. So we do visual tire pressure monitors on every single Sabre. So when your customer's getting fuel, anytime they get fuel or hook up their camper, we recommend they just walk around and look at the stems of their tire. You see how that's red on the side right here? Mm-hmm. Red means that is 20% low from where it should be. Yellow means it's 10% low. Green means it has correct tire pressure. So all it takes is a simple walk around the camper, look at the stems to see if they have correct tire pressure. It takes 2 seconds to look and make sure that you're safe. Green means go, red means dead. 99% of the other brands in the RV industry are going to prep it for a backup camera, but we talk about safety. Okay, we want your customers to always know what's going on behind their camper while they're driving down the road. The new thing is that roof has a lifetime warranty. I know that sounds like a gimmick. Anytime you hear lifetime warranty, you're thinking, okay, what's the catch? Especially if you come from the automobile industry. That being said, what that simply means is the roof is guaranteed against manufacturer defects, against sun cracking, sun weathering, fading, anything like that for as long as you own this camper. Okay, the roof material. That membrane is guaranteed as long as your customer owns this RV to never have any issues as far as weathering or manufacturer defects. Literally for their lifetime. You don't have to condition our roof. That new membrane that we use literally requires zero maintenance. You do still have to check the seals around the air conditioner, around the front cap, around the rear wall. You need to inspect those seals once a year. But that has no conditions on the warranty of the membrane. We stopped having options whenever COVID first started. So whenever we streamlined our process, cut everything down to zero options, everything being built exactly the same, now they're worried about, does that screw hit the wall? Or does that screw hit the stud? Is this being stapled correctly? Is this cut the right length? They're not worried about what options it has. Right. So it actually did increase the quality of the trailer. I'm not going to say we're perfect. No RV in the industry is perfect. We're built by humans, and humans make mistakes. You guys go to your service base, you're going to find a $1 million bus sitting there waiting for service, and you're going to find a $10,000 travel trailer sitting there waiting for service. Doesn't matter how much you spend, it's going to need serviced. We're not the most high-end luxury fifth wheel that you guys sell. We're not the highest-end luxury fifth wheel in the industry. But I put our quality up against anybody else. When customers want to ask about quality, I typically can shut them up with one quick answer, and that answer is the workforce at Sabre is 80% Amish. So we do use real wood products. We don't use OSB or particle board. Your cabinetry, you've got real wood cabinets. They're not particle board cabinets. The floor underneath of this linoleum, tongue and groove plywood. We're not using OSB or anything like that in our floors. So we do care about the details like that. We spend our money on reusing real wood, all that kind of stuff. Some manufacturers will cheapen up the building process so that they can spend more money on the frills and the bells and whistles and the pretty lights everywhere and those kind of things. We choose to spend our money on the quality of the construction. So we talked about the One Control app outside. This touch control screen right here controls everything on the camper. Your customer can download on their cell phones. It's an app called the One Control by LCI. That One Control app, when your customer pulls up to the campsite, can literally get out of the truck, unhook their camper, sit on a lawn chair, and set up their camper without getting up from their lawn chair. They can auto level from the app. They can open the slide outs from the app. They can turn on the lights from the app. They can open the awning. I mean, all that stuff. They can do that just from sitting in a lawn chair outside watching it happen. Where that's cool for your customers, say he's going to the park by himself and kids and mom are pulling the boat and they're going to meet him there later, right? So he gets to the campsite, and if he's parked close to a tree, typically he's running the slide out about a foot, running outside to see how close he is to that tree, coming back in, pushing the slide out, running back outside to see how close he is to that tree. With the app, he can just go outside and stand there and watch it and make sure he doesn't hit that tree while it's coming out. The other thing is, if they have cell phone signal, this is a pretty cool feature. If they have cell phone signal and they have an error code on their leveling system or on their slide outs or on anything that they're using, if they clear it out, get another error code. If they clear it out, if it happens for the third time, somebody from Lippert gets a signal and they call your customer directly to help them troubleshoot the issue they're having with their error codes. Both air conditioners are always 15,000 BTUs. A lot of RVs in the industry will do the main air conditioner at 15,000, the secondary will be a 13.5. So we do dual 15, so you've got 30,000 BTUs of cooling power with the vacuum bond insulated walls. It's pretty easy to keep this thing climate controlled. We sell these into northern Alberta, Canada, and we sell these in southern Miami, Florida, and El Paso, Texas. So again, feature benefiting this to the customer. The reason it's important to have solid surface. Solid surface is what you want in your house. Yeah. You want granite, you want solid surface, you want something like that in your house. A lot of RVs in this price range use pressed wood or T-mold in this RV. So what this is, solid surface, is rated for 700 degrees. So your customer can take a hot pan right off this oven and stick it right on top of this countertop and not worry about melting the countertop. Okay. If they ever do scratch it, it'll buff out. They can buff it out. Mm-hmm. Solid surface is what they have at home. Solid surface is what they want in their kitchen. A lot of the RVs are going to have like those weird color, white plasticky sinks that turn yellow over time. Stainless steel, just like you have at home. Easy to clean, easy to keep looking nice. And again, I talk about the solid wood cabinetry. So I've mentioned this before. Anytime you move this RV, it's like putting your house through an earthquake. So if your customers are like, we don't care what kind of cabinetry it has, remind that customer, when you're talking about resale value in 10 years, and your cabinets are particle board, and they've started to shake loose after 10 years of driving down the road, how's that resale value going to look? Right? So having real wood cabinetry, it's not going to fall apart, not going to flake apart. That helps their resale value over time.